I'm Salvatore Lavallo. I'm the head of FDI Traction at the Abu Dhabi Investment Office. We're very excited today to have a lot of the Abu Dhabi ecosystem on one table. We always say that we are presenting a one Abu Dhabi approach to investors that are looking to expand into the Emirate, and I think this shows exactly how that really comes to life. We have funders through Mubalada, we have success stories like Pure Harvest, we have free zones, ADGM and 2454, we have our regulators and another free zone, ADGM, we have a healthcare success story with VPS. So showing the investors, the regulators, the funding, the land options, all in one table is really what the goal of the government of Abu Dhabi is about. So without further ado, I will introduce my panelists. We have Stephen Severance from Masdar. We have Safeya Al Maqtari from Mubalada Healthcare, Kurtz from Pure Harvest. We have Pankaj Paul from VPS Healthcare, James Hartt from 2454, and Gabrielle Inzirillo from ADGM. So I'll first start with you, Gabrielle. So it'd be interesting to hear from you as we're looking at fintech. A lot of this week's activities that we're seeing around the Emirate are focused on fintech, Web3, the future of financial regulations. What is ADGM's approach to this future economy?
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for that great question, Salvatore. I think when it comes down to it, we have to keep in mind that ADGM, which stands for Abu Dhabi Global Market, Abu Dhabi's International Financial Center, is a young jurisdiction. And when you think of young, you think, okay, that's not so good. But actually, that is an incredible strength. Because what it means is that ADGM was built with the goal of, in a way, being future-proof. It was about going around, looking at the best regulation, looking at the best financial regulation in the world, picking, choosing, pooling, creating, and then on top of that, doing a number of very in-depth research, a number of different ways of looking at approaches and deciding how are we going to create a financial center that has robust, strong regulation that will protect consumers, but that will also allow for a thriving industry. And by balancing those two and that being able to have that young, unburdened approach, I think Abu Dhabi Global Market and the financial regulator made a really great stride in building good financial regulation for the economy and for the Abu Dhabi economy in fintech. Just in terms of the things we're seeing and what we're very excited about, we are very proud, first of all, of having a very, very robust virtual asset regime that was launched in 2018, so one of the earliest ones. And we're currently in the process of doing a consultation that is actually going to go out next week, so you heard it here first, on decentralized finance and open finance to really figure out and work with the industry to see how finance is going to evolve and what we can expect in the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Thanks so much, Gabrielle. And fintech is really something that has been new to the economy of Abu Dhabi and new to the government of Abu Dhabi. One sector that we've been focused on for a long time, but have new approaches to is healthcare. So Safeya, you from Mubalada Healthcare, been around a long time. Everybody who knows Abu Dhabi knows Mubalada. But how is the focus within healthcare changing from a provision of care to looking at innovation and a tech focus?
I think Abu Dhabi, the UAE as a whole, and Abu Dhabi specifically, has made a significant contribution in the healthcare industry and moving towards technology specifically. Just in the most recent years, we've made significant investment as Mubalada alongside others in life sciences. And the UAE is one of handful countries around the world who have a national genome project that has launched last year during the COVID period. And what that promises in collaboration with Mubalada Health and other healthcare providers is to improve and see strides in precision medicine or personalized medicine. As Mubalada Health also, we've focused on research and investment to ensure that it goes hand in hand with provision of healthcare or with healthcare delivery. So we have made significant investment in research. As Mubalada, we have the Life Sciences Fund with the UK, £800 million committed for life sciences. We have made multiple investments in the US in drug discovery companies like Recursion. It's the most recent announcement that we've made as Mubalada. And just last month, with the adoption of technology like remote monitoring, we've announced our partnership with BioIntelligence, which is a company that provides FDA-approved medical-grade remote monitoring devices. And we plan to combine the use of technology in our regular or conventional way of delivering care. So, for example, this BioIntelligence, they have a product. It's a sticker that you add on your skin, and we will plan to utilize that as a way of remote monitoring for our long-term care patients. And this is the first use. This is the first pilot, but we plan to expand the use of that with patients of chronic medical diseases like diabetes or renal diseases. So we are combining what is happening around the world in terms of technology advancements in the provision of healthcare. But I do believe that the key message here is Abu Dhabi is well positioned to become the healthcare or the technology hub, healthcare technology hub, not even regionally, but internationally in the coming few years.
Inshallah. And it's always exciting to see Abu Dhabi emerge as an aspiring hub in sectors. But it's one thing to hear it from the government. It's another thing to hear it from the success stories. So, Pankaj, VPS Healthcare, how much of what has just been said about healthcare have you seen on the ground has been a part of your journey and the success of VPS Health?
Thank you. And it's such a pleasure and honor to be here representing VPS Healthcare. So we are proud to be a homegrown entity. We started in Abu Dhabi. We now have 16 facilities in the UAE, including our flagship brand, Burjeel Hospital. And we've seen the success grow based on the trust that our patients have with our ecosystem. And we may have patients that have been with us since our 15-year journey that we've been here. So over the past couple of years, we have made some significant investments in Abu Dhabi, including our flagship hospital in Mohammed bin Zayed City, which is this massive $350 million initiative that was launched. And also very proud to say that we are the only private sector comprehensive cancer center in the region. We've also made, because of the I would say, favorable climate and the opportunities for our physicians to grow, we have made significant investments both on time, money, into research. Very proud to say that one of our Emirati oncologists, Dr. Humaid Al-Shamshi, published a book on cancer in the Arab world, which has been downloaded 70,000 times in the last 10 days. I think which is incredible. But this was a 5-year journey for him, and he collaborated with a number of physicians within VPS and outside of VPS. But I think for that kind of success to happen here, I think is significant. This is the first book of its kind, and it will inform cancer care not just for physicians, but also for public health, for regulators, for policymakers all over the region to see how we can tackle this a better way. So from our perspective, I think we find this is the place we think we can continue to grow. I think we've done very well, and I believe that we'll continue to do so.
It's always amazing to see the vision that's set by the government and then see it come into reality or come into fruition with the private sector players that are being supported. So we've talked about fintech, which is a sector that we're all hearing a lot about. We've talked about healthcare, which of course affects us every day. A new sector that's a focus of the government of Abu Dhabi is media. Specifically, I don't know if everyone can see your shirt, James, but gaming. I think the government of Abu Dhabi is one of the only governments in the world, if not the only one, to have an official head of gaming position. So James, please tell us a little bit more about 2454, your innovation focus, and we'd love to hear more about the e-gaming approach.
Thank you, Sal. Yeah, 2454 has been operating and growing, curating the media industry in Abu Dhabi now for well over 10 years. We got some 600 media industry businesses set up and operating out of Abu Dhabi. And 2454 really looks after the business environment for the creative industries, from everything from offices to broadcast studios to the sound stages, to a lot of things people might not know about Abu Dhabi. We got a 300,000 square meter backlot where a lot of the biggest Hollywood and Bollywood movies have been shot. And I was watching just not so long ago, last night, about the Oscars. I mean, June just won 6 Oscars filmed in Abu Dhabi. So you see the beauty of Abu Dhabi on the big screen through the screen productions that take place there. And 2454, for us, it's about creating the right business environment for the media industry. We're moving to our new home on Yaz, where 6,000 creative professionals will be working. And it's bringing the creative communities together and growing the industry. The Film Commission has been doing this for 10 years. And the last year, the drive of Abu Dhabi is to become a global gaming hub and bring in game developers. We see the convergence of screen production with the gaming industry through in-camera visual effects studios. And the same technology underpins now the screen industry as it does the gaming industry. These are high-skilled professional jobs that are in Abu Dhabi, and this industry is growing from strength to strength. We've got the largest game development community in the region now in Abu Dhabi, and you'll see, well, in the UAE, the spend per capita on gaming is the highest in the world. So the players are here, and we'll see a lot more of their content created in Abu Dhabi, which is wonderful to see.
I think for me, the most exciting part about a panel like this is that when I first came to the UAE 10 years ago, none of these were conversations that we could have, right? There wasn't really fintech. Gaming was not something that the government was focused on. You know, healthcare, we were sending everybody abroad. Now we are able to cure them here in the Emirate. Another thing that I think would surprise people is clean tech and the idea of renewables. So, of course, the UAE has always been famous in the energy field. With Masdar, the sustainable city in Abu Dhabi, we have seen a real focus on being not only an oil capital, but an energy capital. So, Stephen, would love to hear more about Masdar's focus and looking towards the future.
Well, I do. Thank you, Salvatore. And I will say that as the one representing the company that's 15 years old, I feel a little bit, I feel a little bit dated at this point, that the UAE has been diving into, and Abu Dhabi has been diving into renewable energy and sustainability before they were into gaming. And you see the impact, but I like what you said about moving from a regional hub and a regional reference point to a global reference point. And whether that's in healthcare or whether that's in some of the advanced farming that's going on here. By the way, it's great to have a couple of private sector people on the panel of places where I've been. I did knee surgery at your hospital, and I eat your tomatoes all the time. And if you have to ask which one I like more, it's the tomatoes. But the knee surgery was quite well done. But so for Masdar to be a global reference point, and I think that's evidenced in things like Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week and World Future Energy Summit, where we brought, even in COVID times, even during Omicron, we brought 20,000 people here from around the world to talk about trends in renewable energy and sustainability, and to see from Abu Dhabi getting IRENA, the International Renewable Energy Agency at Masdar, putting that stake in the ground, to see our clean tech growing from 10 megawatts of solar panels at Masdar City, done in a completely uneconomic way, but a stake in the ground that says we're moving forward with renewable energy to go to 800 megawatts in Dubai. So there's a lot. I mean, we're representing Abu Dhabi, but this is the UAE, and so we do significant projects in Ras Al Khaimah, in Sharjah, in Dubai, and across the region. But to go to 2 gigawatts of solar panels done at 1.35 US cents. In the 15 years since Masdar started, we've gone from solar and wind being uneconomic projects where governments put a stake in the ground to the cheapest energy on earth. And I think everyone needs to understand that as the world's converged around 2050, as carbon neutrality, and the UAE has made that pledge 2050, and you've seen what they've done in terms of putting renewable energy in. That Masdar's been a driving force behind that. It's been fantastic. I've been there for 12 years, and it's been fantastic for me to see those changes and to see what Masdar has meant and what the Abu Dhabi focus has meant, not just regionally but globally.
No, absolutely. I think that idea of regional to global is really important when you think about the positioning of the government of Abu Dhabi and of Abu Dhabi as an emirate in a business climate. Our chairman, His Excellency Mohammed Al Sharafa, the chairman of the Department of Economic Development and member of the Executive Council, often says that we're moving from being a startup nation to a scale-up nation. And we're always thinking within the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, we're the central government hub for attracting private sector investment into the emirate. We really play a role of translating and catalyzing. So we translate the government processes in order to let the private sector understand the ways to move forward and establish in Abu Dhabi. And then we catalyze those companies by giving financial and non-financial support. We've so far done that to over 45 companies, one of which I've saved for the end, Sky from Pure Harvest. Agriculture is something we've been focused on a lot as the government, not only recently looking at tech, but throughout our time. The founding father, Sheikh Zayed, he said that he wants to see the desert be greened. He wants to provide food for the entire population. But now we're seeing how Abu Dhabi can not only be a producer of food, but how we can be a global exporter of technology. You have one of the most high-tech farms in the world with Pure Harvest out in Al Ain. Tell me a little bit about your technology and your success here in Abu Dhabi and around the world.
Certainly. Thank you, Salvatore. And actually, it's great I go last because I look around at my colleagues here and energy, health, and then, of course, capital and regulatory environment on the end. And then now we're actually doing AR, VR videos to enable people to tour the farms. Everyone wants to tour them, but the humans are a risk to the plants, so we can't allow it. Now we're going to create a virtual experience for them to do that. So maybe we should talk at the end. Yes. I want to say it's great to go last here, but really food obviously is a fundamental and critical piece of humanity. And interestingly, back to the mention of Arena, Pure Harvest, the creation of our company was actually out of research and work done at IRENA. We wanted to say, how do you solve the water problem in a region like this? Well, to solve the water problem, you need to solve the food problem because over 60% of water is used in agribusiness. And that was actually the genesis of the original idea of how to create a resource-efficient farming solution. And at Pure Harvest Smart Farms, we started almost 5 years ago. We started with a pilot farm in Nahel, here in Al Ain. And that pilot farm was to demonstrate that the technology could work, that we could control the climate with capital and energy efficiency, and that if that worked, we could scale that idea, not only around the region, but around the world. We had global aspirations from the beginning, and admittedly, we had a lot of choices of where to start this company. I'm from the United States. I used to work in Silicon Valley. I thought about Silicon Valley. I thought about Arizona, where I grew up, which I seem to keep finding my way back to deserts. But we saw this as a wonderful place to start a company. It's the whole country is entrepreneurial, right? The leadership picks a vision toward a direction and then creates regulation and puts resource behind helping that vision become a reality. And we believed that if we put a beachhead here and built our pilot facility here and could prove that capability, we could then source capital, scale serving both the domestic and regional market, and then now the world markets. And you're seeing us now expand into markets like South Asia. In fact, we're signing an agreement here in just a couple days with the leadership of Malaysia. We're currently working in Singapore. We have huge investment and partners in Korea, and then now we're in a partnership in the Philippines. We can solve heat and humidity using technologies developed in one of the best laboratories for heat and humidity in the world, which is here. And something that we saw that was quite unique, Salvatore, back in the beginning, really, I view food is energy. We're an energy company. We convert sun energy to calories as cheaply as possible. And everything that we do in our technology is an energy conversion mechanism. Well, this is one of the greatest markets in the world for energy. And what was just mentioned about utility scale solar at 1.35 cents per kilowatt hour, that is game changing. It enables industries like ours, right, where we can trade away flying food across oceans and the use of water in resource inefficient forms of farming like traditional field farming, and instead invest capital and technology and energy efficiency to create the lowest cost and best tasting food in the world. And something I'll say about not only our tomatoes, but we're now growing 29 varieties of tomatoes, 14 varieties of leafy greens, and 9 varieties of strawberries, and now 4 varieties of sweet point peppers, and expanding here year-round in Abu Dhabi, right? And I think they always say it takes a village to raise a child. Really, there's been a tremendous amount of support. When I started this company 5 years ago, there wasn't a Salal. There wasn't the Abu Dhabi Investment Office yet. You guys were young. Yet there was a will and a support. There was a food security office. And then Her Excellency Miriam Al-Mehari was appointed for a Minister of State of Future Food Security. a federal cabinet level minister focused on this problem, right? Where else in the world was that happening? Now many have followed suit, but this happened right here. And of course, that support and that inertia has helped us to build a world-leading agriculture technology champion out of this country. And I will say there's another thing, one final comment to mention about this region. There's a pragmatism, right? We have a very practical solution. We didn't recreate the wheel on agribusiness. The Dutch, the Israelis, the Americans were doing it very well. What we tackled was climate and the construction and the materials and the methods of growing in this harsh environment. And that was really what was needed, not the recreating of the wheel on actual food production, whereby we've adopted the best and most resource efficient methods in the world. Well, that really sat well with investors in this region. We've had Audio as an investor, ADQ, Wafra, the sovereign wealth of Kuwait. Many individuals in the Abu Dhabi ecosystem have invested in the company. I can't name them, but some of which have formidable positions around the government. And there's a lot of belief in what we're doing. And also, I think a lot of belief that Abu Dhabi is a great place to call home as we build a world-leading food security solution for the next generation.
Absolutely. It's always amazing to see the way that we can turn that vision, like you said, Her Excellency Mariam, becoming the world's first Minister of Food Security 2018, to now where Abu Dhabi is really at the forefront of a lot of this agriculture technology. Audio has invested 150 million US dollars into 8 agriculture companies through our financial incentive scheme, and seeing more companies coming into the Emirate in this space, in these other disruptive sectors, is really exciting about the future of our economy, the future of our society as well. Pankaj, I'll go back to you to think about, we've heard all of these exciting sectors that we're focused on. We've heard about technology from Abu Dhabi going to the world, but what would you say is the changes in the investment climate and your advice to other investors to come into Abu Dhabi?
It's very interesting. Right. So I think fundamentally, I think innovation is a key driver, right? And that innovation is driving the digital, the biological, the physical infrastructure convergence in this part of the world. And that's a key piece, right, from our perspective. So I think, and all this is built on a very strong and very robust infrastructure that the UAE has. That's leading to more climates. So I think that this bet on technology is a lot more than just diversifying the economy. Right. I'm not going to say anything about the rankings. Everybody knows the rankings are going really, really well. But that, I think, is a demonstration of faith that people have in the ecosystem in Abu Dhabi and the UAE. Right. So the country did exceptionally well during the pandemic. And I think that builds even more strength and trust into the piece. And what we as VPS are seeing is the interest that people have in what we are doing. And that is not just us alone, right? That was built on the strength of the infrastructure that was provided to us by Abu Dhabi. And I think that as long as this thread of innovation continues to grow in this country, whether it is for food security, whether it's for technology, healthcare, any of these pieces, I think that's sort of this common thread that drives this ecosystem forward. And look, the regulators have done a great job, right? The ownership structures that have been changed, the PPP framework that was brought in, right? And the other piece, even the, I wrote this down because I knew I was going to forget it, the Abu Dhabi Sustainable Finance Declaration, right? All these things ladder up towards the same goal, to say that Abu Dhabi is a place where you can come. It's one of the safest places, did really exceptionally well again during the pandemic. But when you speak with people even outside of here, right, even if you have to bring the Cleveland Clinic or the Mayo Clinic here, they need to see what's available here. So from our perspective, we continue to believe that this is the place where we can continue to grow, like I said earlier. And we are very bullish on this. And we are always happy to talk to people. And when we travel in different geographies, and that's exactly what we say. Say our success can be replicated. We'd rather you not. We'd rather VPS be the 800-pound gorilla in the private sector. We're fine with that. There's no issues. But I think it can be replicated, because I think the broad infrastructure exists, and there is a great deal of transparency on where you can go, who you can talk to, what you can build, and how you can move forward.
Gabrielle, vision can spur innovation, but regulation can either accelerate or stop it dead in its track. As our regulator on the panel, how does regulation play a role in fintech, and what are some of the regulations that you see in the government's approach to regulation to spur this innovation?
I'm glad you at least mentioned that regulation can stop things as well. Let's not lie to ourselves. Regulation is, on one hand, necessary, but sometimes a very finicky thing to be doing and to be working with, but ultimately necessary. So the way we look at it is financial regulation, or regulation, to be honest, in any shape or form. There are, on one hand, it's there to protect people. You're there to protect consumers. You're there to protect clients. You're there to protect your people that are there utilizing the products that you put out and that the firms that you license put out. But one thing that should also be kept in mind is, let's say that there's a really good product that could really, benefit your population. Let's say there's a new form of payment that could make things easier for people, or there's a new way of investing that would give access and democratize financial services for others. Now, if you are putting barriers to that, in that case, you're also hurting people, right? So it's a constant balance of, on one hand, how do you protect your people, but make sure they have access to the very best products? And that is the way we have to look at financial regulation and any other form of regulation, to be honest. And so it's a constant fine line. And it's not easy. I'm not even going to lie to you. It is not easy, and I'm not going to pretend it is. But what we do, and what we're very, very clear about, especially within the Financial Services Regulatory Authority of Abu Dhabi Global Market, is that we work a lot with industry. So we work a lot to understand not only what founders want to do, not only the products that they're getting out to people, but this industry liaison and the fact that we keep the communication open constantly is, I think, one of our greatest strengths, because that means we can adapt. We can, create regulation from scratch very, very quickly. We can speak to people and understand their needs and understand the products that they want to put out. And, when it's necessary, we can put an end to things that we know could be bad for people. So that's another one of the perks of, being a young financial center. It's having that agility, which a lot of regulators across the world, unfortunately, are boggled down by legacy legislation and legacy regulation. And it makes things very, very hard to get these new financial products out to people so that they can, have the best of the world out there for them. When it comes to financial technology and just finance in general, one thing that is repeated time and time again by regulators across the world, but which I fundamentally, in a way, don't really agree to, and I'm sure one of our founders here is not going to like this, but regulators often say it is not the government's job to make you rich. When it comes to, setting up a shop, all that, it's there, to actually make sure that what you're doing is in line. But on one hand, it is true. On the other hand, it is a very, very short-sighted view, because if you are trying to get rich, it's because you have a product and you have something that a lot of people want and a lot of people need, and it's going to be used a lot. So ultimately, if you can help the population and your products are amazing, whether that's financial, whether that's even, for agriculture, anything like that, if you happen to be getting rich by making really good products and getting out there, then yes, the regulator and the government will be on your side. Was that a little bit too out of line?
I think that's fair, Sky. I will go to you next. I think the government's role is to help the people as well, and we to make not only the founders successful, but to also have the population be successful. Sky, you've generously given your time to a lot of these different legislative committees, looking at the regulation in your new field. Shots were fired a little bit from Gabrielle, so maybe respond from the private sector view on regulation and the way that you as industry have supported the regulatory framework and the changes there.
Certainly, I think they're fair shots. I would say there are many entrepreneurs that actually resist regulation. I'm not one of them. I'll comment on what I believe also the function of regulation and its importance in creating the ability of the formation of new ventures and the formation of capital, which fundamentally is needed to effectuate new ventures. But I do want to comment on one thing on giving my time to the government in these various forums to support policymaking. Not every country has these forums, right? I think even in my home country, the United States, it's very difficult to provide any input and or to have that input heard. Here, in a very concentrated way, you're able to participate in supporting sound regulation, which I think is what she was alluding to. Gabrielle was suggesting that good regulation can support a business and amplify its scalability. Bad regulation can suffocate it. Now, so for example, I was on that National Committee on the Adoption of AgTech for Food Security, which was helping to adopt in a fast fashion policies to support food security during COVID, right? And that I'm very grateful that even a forum existed and many of the contemporaries in my industry participated giving input. And it's another nod to the United Arab Emirates and to Abu Dhabi for being so open. But I want to comment on ADGM specifically, right? Once again, we had a lot of options of where to form our company. We chose ADGM, and I'm literally company number 8. We are 00008. And why did we choose ADGM? We had, well, a couple of reasons. One, they have adopted, much like DIFC, an internationally understood, call it body of law, right, of effectively British common law. And why is that important? And I think it's really important to multinationals who are scaling into the region or startups in the region or others that want to build a company. It's really important because if you want access to international capital markets that have strict governance requirements, that have KYC requirements, know your customer requirements, that you need to participate in a regulation that does not create barriers to their desire to invest in you, right? If they don't understand the rule of law of the environment you're in, if there's no precedent, if the courts aren't public or visible, you've just inserted a massive barrier to trust. And fundamentally, trust is what business is all about, right? And especially when you're entrusting tremendous amounts of capital. Well, I believe that ADGM created an environment of adopting kind of the best of and building on the best of regulatory environment to support access to international capital markets, international insurance markets, and sound governance. And I think in this region, there have been some high-profile governance abuses, Abraj, NMC, right? We can name a number. And in other markets, there are many too. In America, Enron. But in these markets, there's precedent for how those breaches are handled. Here, there was not, right? It was very uncertain, and that uncertainty suffocates capital formation, right? So I want to say that the power of good regulation, I believe, is that it facilitates trust for the customers, the partners, the employees who understand their employment agreement and the rights they have and that the government will protect their interests. It is a system of trust. And I believe that's critical. And if you standardize that system well, adopting internationally accepted standards, you reduce the barriers, the amount of lawyering it takes, and the investment. You shouldn't spend 3 times as much on lawyers as you do on your first product, right? And often that happens in emerging markets that are poorly regulated. And so I believe that's something that Abu Dhabi has tackled very well, and really the UAE has holistically across many of its free zones. But I want to point out, ADGM and DIFC standing out. And in our experience, ADGM has been extremely cooperative, customer service focused. They're really there to support us as we scale. And we're a difficult thing to regulate. We're a new industry. We're building food scale infrastructure in a market where that didn't exist. There were no building codes for this. There was no, it's truly creating new law to govern a new industry. And thus far, we've had a really solid experience, and we're happy with our choice at ADGM.
Safeya, Sky was talking about how regulation is a lot about trust. Obviously in healthcare, it's literally life or death. You mentioned earlier a lot of really exciting new technologies. How can Abu Dhabi help to attract those companies to establish in Abu Dhabi? How have you seen regulation change? And how do you think healthcare plays an overall role in the strategy of building into knowledge economies in Abu Dhabi?
Great question, Salvatore. I think given healthcare has been a key player in the recent response to the pandemic, and specifically in Abu Dhabi, we have been working closely with the government, with the regulator, to ensure that we are as agile and as responsive to the needs of the people as much as possible. And the agility of the regulator and the agility of the government has proven us, to be a success story in the adoption of technology, adoption of or changes in regulations in some instances to ensure that we are able to deliver the care that's required. Adoption of new drugs, vaccination, the agility in processes that allow us to build infrastructure. So previously we would require to go through a full process of licensing, for example, and during the pandemic that in a matter of days required a day or two to ensure that we are able to build facilities to cater for field hospitals, for example, or COVID testing facilities. So I would say Abu Dhabi has proven itself during the pandemic, specifically in healthcare, but also in other industries, as an agile economy, an agile government that is responsive, that is adaptive, and that is evolving as well in new technologies or in new solutions that will create better life for its people. How that links to new investors, I think we've proven through the formation of new offices like Hub 71, like ADGM, in terms of Abu Dhabi's interest to bring investors here in Abu Dhabi. And we work with the Abu Dhabi Investment Office to scout some of these opportunities. We continuously work with potential partners that are interested in innovation and research. For example, we would receive some partners who, with new solutions or with new technologies, who want to research or create a clinical study of these technologies in our facilities, and we always welcome that. So the regulation is continuously adaptive and continuously enabling rather than restrictive in most ways, and we are able to have access to the government, not just as Mubalada, but I have seen a roundtable during the pandemic response from everyone who is a healthcare provider, both government and private, listening with the government, listening to the requirements and the needs. How can we do it better? And that is mimicked in the investment world. I believe that as well, in terms of the innovation specifically or within the healthcare industry, we have an opportunity to ensure that the Abu Dhabi is the hub for these clinical studies. So investment outside abroad has been key as or a focus area for us, but also bringing these partners. We have, as Mubalada Health, multiple international partners like the Cleveland Clinic, Imperial College London in the UK, and others who have come here to the UAE to build and establish their hubs. And we are always keen to build these partnerships to not only to bring the best out of these institutions, but also to train our UAE nationals. So this holistic view of bringing investors is also to create value in this economy, and I believe that we have a really strong shot in making that in the next few years.
No, absolutely. And Stephen, we've heard from sectors like fintech, which affect our wallets, agriculture, which affects our stomachs, healthcare, which affects our livelihood. I think one sector that we're increasingly realizing impacts ourselves is the environment, is taking care and focusing on renewable energies. How is Masdar working with innovative companies to bring them here to solve climate challenges, not only in the UAE, but around the world?
Thank you for that. And I think one thing we need to get on the table about Masdar is, while we are best known for renewable energy, for sustainability, but that we really want to be the hub of innovation in Abu Dhabi. And I say we've got a couple things. You mentioned human genome mapping. It's done by G42, right? It's done at Masdar City. And it's done primarily in a lot of ways because the Mohammed bin Zayed University for Artificial Intelligence is there. The world's first university for artificial intelligence anywhere on Earth. It's focused solely on that. When the first thing we did was the university was Masdar Institute, which has now been combined with Khalifa University to create a larger Abu Dhabi university there. But we still have testing going on. We still have professors, and we're starting to see companies come out of Masdar Institute. So the ecosystem we're trying to build is that, okay, so we have the university there. G42 has come. Now we just recently had a company that just recently went public in London, Oxford Nanopore Technology, and they make the machines that spin the DNA that G42 is using to do the genome mapping. So they are now located in the same building that I go to work in every day. So I met one of the G42 people downstairs, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm up in the Oxford Nanopore offices all the time now." And it's that ecosystem that we're trying to create, and a lot of it is around energy. And we're working with companies like Interware, which is providing distributed technology both here in the UAE, but also now in Africa as well. We just brought in with Khalifa University, Azleo, and this is a Swedish company that does a Stirling engine that produces renewable energy 24/7. Because as we get more renewable energy, you really see the intermittency issue. If we're going to get to 100% carbon-free energy by 2050, we need to deal with storage, right? We need to solve the intermittency issue. And part of that's going to be done with nuclear, but part of it's going to involve a lot more storage, whether that's hydro, whether that's batteries, whether that's other forms of storage that we need to develop as well. But one of those is testing that at Masdar City to do 24/7 from solar and getting to a price point of not 1.35 cents, but 5 to 7 cents, trying to get down to 5 to 7 cents for 24/7 renewable energy. That to me, that's amazing, because when we started, renewable energy cost 35 to 40 cents per kilowatt hour. Now in Abu Dhabi, the price to expats is 5 cents a kilowatt hour. So every time, that's the price up. There's the subsidy in there still. From D1 Dubai, it's around 11 cents a kilowatt hour. But to get that down to where renewable energy is cost effective and affordable to everyone, so that you can run Pure Sky on 100% renewable, so that you are taking advantage of that. Because what you trade in water, and as a fellow Californian, we have a big water problem, and it's agriculture in most ways. Agriculture around the world drives water. To take the water around the world, you need to add energy. And to do that from renewable sources in a cost-effective way transforms our energy, transforms our water, and transforms our food. And that, to see that coming together, and that coming together at Masdar, it's been amazing to be a part of for me.
And it's amazing for all of us to watch it. So James, we've gone from our bodies to our wallets to the environment. Can you take us to the metaverse and tell us 2454 vision of the future of reality, and how you're supporting companies that are making this real?
Thanks, Sal. Yes, Abu Dhabi has all the ingredients to really become a dominant global player in the gaming industry and the screen production industry. But the first thing that companies that look at Abu Dhabi ask is about talent. The industry moves so quick, and where Abu Dhabi government excels is using the asset that we have, which is a world-class education system. So where the government steps in and helps is make sure that the programs that are run at the universities are very relevant today. And we see this change happening all the time now. We run game development courses with Unity Technologies, one of the world's leaders in gaming engine platforms, that's headquartered in Abu Dhabi. We run talent development programs in 13 universities. And the government's role then is to bridge that that talent with industry. And this is what companies are looking for. They're looking to access new IP. They're looking to access new talent, whether that's on the engineering side or the artistic side. And that's what we're now seeing in Abu Dhabi, and it's really exciting. So we'll see more and more games coming out. Certainly, there's companies in Abu Dhabi now that are building in the metaverse, investing in the metaverse, and we're going to see this technology transform our lives moving forward with Web 3.0, which we all know about and read about. But it's becoming more of a reality, and that content now will be developed in Abu Dhabi, which is really exciting. What we'll see with this is more of the culture from the region exported globally. These games are consumed globally. So having content created in Abu Dhabi that's then consumed globally is great. People will understand the region more, the storytelling through gaming, and connecting people, not just in Abu Dhabi, but connecting people globally. This is really where the technology plays and where we'll see a lot more of this developed in Abu Dhabi. So the future is really exciting for the gaming industry, the screen production industry. And we also launched a comic studio as well just recently under Abu Dhabi government to give local talent called Sandstorm Comics, to give local talent, local artists the chance to really forge a career in the creative industries.
My favorite saying is what you know about Abu Dhabi isn't necessarily wrong, but maybe it's old. And I think today we have seen that the vision, or people always think that the number one resource that the UAE has is oil, but really it's our vision and turning that vision into a reality. Today we have government representatives, private sector, free zones, funding partners, regulators, and we're all working together as a One Abu Dhabi approach to speak with investors to make sure that they see this vision of Abu Dhabi, that they know how they can be a part of it, that we're supporting them through that. So we've seen in these sectors, fintech, media, healthcare, agriculture, clean tech, all of these are future focus of the government of Abu Dhabi, of the knowledge economies, of the economies of the future. From the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, we're very excited to speak with any investors that are looking to expand into the Emirate, ways that we can catalyze that performance, ways that we can provide incentives, not only from ourselves, but from all of the government partners. We as Abu Dhabi government are one, we are together, we are here to support companies. We're looking forward to hearing from many of you, and God willing, you will, in 10 more years, none of these conversations will be topics of the future, but they'll be topics of the present, and I'm looking forward to working on it with all of you, inshallah. Thank you, everybody.